Many times over the course of this Red Deer grind, I've found myself wishing that I'd been able to get more stag kills between videos, and actually in this case, this week's been a bit of an exception. Because of the end of the month montage for February on Tuesday, we had a bit of an extra opportunity to get out and take down some stags, and since our last hunt, which I think was about 9 days ago, we've gotten in the area of 250 stag kills, which I know for some is numbers that they get in a single day, but just kinda with everything going on, mostly due to having a puppy, I've not had the time to get a ton of kills. So the good news is, we've gotten quite a few respawns since the last hunt. The bad news is, none of those have resulted in anything special, but hopefully, as we are attempting shots on a level 7, that seemed to go pretty good, we can maybe get back on track today with something a little more special. Now, I'm most curious about the level 7 and where that shot hit, but we had our 3 and 5 over on this side. We can go ahead and grab them and then get over to the more interesting one, and kind of fitting that we wrapped up at least this side of the lake with that 7. Of course, that tends to be the normal routine with our Red Deer grind. Once we kind of get going, pretty much anything below a level 7 gets cut out for the sake of not having 30 minutes of Red Deer grinding per week when it's kind of all the same stuff with silvers. And that is Vital Blood from our original shot, which frankly I'm rather proud of. The intestine shot there was just enough to get his health the rest of the way down to drop him. 188.7, not bad, 240 meters on the trot. And we can kind of get on with our hunt now. I don't know if it's been a thing with the recent update, but I've seen so many uneven level 7 and 8 stags. It's been really interesting, because we know it's been a thing for a while now with specifically rares. Imagine that, 2 nice mythicals at this lake. But so many rare, and not just stags, rare any antlered animals end up being kind of uneven. And the red deer tend to be one of the worst offenders because they are, I think it's just that they're so big and their racks vary so much. You really get to see it when the two sides don't match. And we do know from the melanistic stag that we got as an initial spawn, it of course was still uneven, and there was still the thing that we've noticed where at least uneven rare antlered animals score at the top end of their score estimate. It'll be interesting to pay attention and see if the uneven commons do that. I think they probably do. But anyway, to kind of get back on topic, when I began to see more and more of these uneven mythicals and level 7s, I started to wonder if maybe they've fixed something, or I don't know, maybe it's less likely that we're going to get the uneven rares. But then again, going back to the melanistic, that one was uneven. Our couple of whitetail over on Rancho, I think were uneven when they're level 1s. It's a little harder to tell. But I don't remember the estimate for this one. We'll have to go back and look. 220.4 though. Actually a solid size mythical, and again, 201 lake ain't bad. Actually, we might not even need to go back and look, because we have another one. Interestingly enough, I believe that's the same rack combination and a max of 220. Let's see if he ends up scoring at that 220 mark. Now, the one issue is often this lake has a ton of stags. We'll have to kind of scan around and see, but the issue is potentially going to be remembering to check when we're all done here. Yeah, a couple of smaller ones that I'm seeing. Actually, all smaller ones. That one was kind of back in the trees a bit. I'm kind of hoping maybe he'll just run out and we can get the shot then. The question is, can we spot him? The one problem I always encounter at this spot is that it seems like it's kind of foggy no matter when I come here, and it's difficult to spot ones that are fleeing. So we might just let that one go. Kind of gives an opportunity to actually remember to take a look at that mythical. And if it's not one distraction, it's another. We got wolves coming down out of here. I think I have seen this pack. I'm pretty confident there's no level 9s. Just kind of get this and get out of there. It is 216. So uneven common stags, or uneven common antlered animals, maybe don't score at the top end. And now that I think of it, that does kind of make sense, because we've had the uneven diamonds, and I don't recall noticing it with them. It is interesting though to think like what would cause that specific thing, because if it's not the unevenness of the rack, then maybe it is the fact that they are a rare. And I don't even remember paying attention for our big piebald mythical. I think I was too happy to see that it was in fact even. But if it's scored at the top end, then it might have something to do with them specifically being rare. It'll be something to keep an eye on for sure, and hopefully eventually that gets fixed, because especially you can imagine maybe a max score rare, and the estimate doesn't even go up to diamond, because it would be a guaranteed troll in that way. It's just, to me, it's always more interesting when there's at least a chance, even if it does end up trolling. It's just no fun when there is a guaranteed troll in front of you, especially when that might be a guaranteed troll super rare. But anyway, back to our grind here. We're spending a lot of time at one lake. I like the look of that. That would be a level 9 red tier. Now he's in a spot in which we can't even spot him at the moment, but we may need to fire the 22. Now I think it's within 200 meters. I always check just to be sure. It must be 150, although they're attentive. Let's get in a little bit closer. Instead of firing actually near them, actually a nice 7 in there too, we're just going to kind of fire into the air while being within that certain range, and that'll alert them as well. I think there's a chance, at least because they went attentive, if we shot near them and also had been close enough to have them hear the shot just from the firing of the gun, we could have ended up with them running off. And a big estimate there. I was a little too focused on trying to explain what was going on and then make that hard shot. Up to 296. Pretty good stag. I think that guy's going to end up escaping on us, but I'm more interested in the level 9. I mean, we've gotten 300 or so without a diamond, of course. That's nothing compared to that awful streak we had towards the end of the previous grind, but that's a welcome sight. And by the way, at one of the kind of newer lakes for red deer to be at, its town here in the southwest. And red deer used to be here, for those of you that played Cuatro when the map originally came out, you may recall that. But since, I don't know, maybe a couple of years ago, they hadn't spent any time on this map. But a 265.2 diamond, definitely our best on the new grind. I think we only have the 1 diamond thus far, and it was a small rack. Pretty cool to see a good one come in. That was heart at 136 meters, double lung in there too. Not too bad. Always like to see that stuff coming up when we head out on these specific hunts. Of course, you know, it's nice to see rares or diamonds at any point during the grind, but it just works out well when it's during a run that's already being recorded for the videos, and that's why I try to get stags in between, you know, the videos every week. If there's gonna be a dry spell of 300 stags, whatever it is, if that can kind of end up being gotten out of the way when it's not being in a video, I just think it makes for more entertaining content. At least it's nice to see, whether it's even if it's a troll 9, it's just nice to see that max level pop up. And again, in terms of the entire grind, anytime a rare or a diamond shows up, it just feels like progress is being made. I was kind of planning on doing this either way, but it definitely works out better to do it after getting a trophy stag. I thought maybe we would check out some of the kind of forgotten lakes from the population reset. There's a couple of spots where we used to grind red deer, and it seemed like, at least when the reset happened, that there were going to be no stags around. And I will say this lake, I believe, had 1 stag originally. It's this one here in the southeast, but there were 3 there, and I'm kind of wondering, like, these 2 down to our southwest that I want to visit, they were some of my best on the previous grind. Now that we've shot, you know, 500 stags or so, I wonder if any have respawned down in there, and if those spots are going to actually be worth the time. And I guess maybe what I should say is worth the tent. You can only place 16 tents on a map, and there are, of course, more than 16 red deer drink zones that you could potentially hunt and use those tents as efficiently as possible with. But if there are a bunch of stags here, and if they continue to come back, they're probably worth hunting. Any small lake, in my opinion, if it gets a good number of stags at it, is one to place a tent at and hunt. If you have to cover a lot of distance, you know, maybe hunting at the top right and running a long way to see all those stags, that takes a long time. If it's a small lake and you can basically hop in, shoot your stags, and maybe run a few hundred meters to claim everything, that is being a lot more efficient. Speaking of efficient, what's not efficient is having to track down a stag and hit it again. That kind of worked out pretty cool though, just because the first shot was so poor. I want to know where the second shot hit, and I don't know, he must have been on his way back. I just happened to see him over there till last second. Huh. guess we shot a little bit too far forward, but lung and spinal cord will do the trick to bring him down. Now we gotta go get that other big one. And all told, I think this is gonna have to be a lake that we put a tent at. I mean, that many stags, a couple of good ones. We'll make another run here in maybe a week or two and see if it continues to be that way, but it's hard to argue with the result. Well, I guess the good news is we don't have to worry about moving tents. There is nothing going on down here at all, and unfortunately it's not the best way to wrap up a hunt, but that is pretty much going to be it for this video. We're gonna go back to the trophy lodge and take a look at our new stag. Check these tracks and make sure I didn't miss nothing. That doesn't look to me to be red deer tracks. Gray would probably mean it's gonna be wolves. Good to know they're drinking down here as well, but yeah, apparently red deer just are staying out of down in the southeast. You know, I forget where it was, but it was mentioned the idea of doing a montage of all of the trophy red deer over the course of this grind. There are probably in the area of 40, counting diamonds and rares. I don't know our exact count at this point. Definitely the 5-hole 236 mythical has been the highlight of that, but adding yet another one to the wall, it is cool to see though. You know, often true acts are maybe looked down upon a bit because it seems as though there's kind of, you know, still only a couple of rack shapes, but when you really see a bunch of diamonds all side by side, you get to see the variability in tine length, in main beam length, in the spread and stuff. I think it's neat, and who knows, there might be a lot left of this grind, there might not be much left at all. We might see a bunch more variation yet as we continue to add to this lodge, but nice to get another diamond. I am excited about that. I think it's only our second real run on this new grind, and we're 2 for 2 on diamonds, so hopefully that can continue. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, so thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.